Hello one, this is Esfandiar Khaleghi. Welcome back to another CAD Bootcamp session at Kingston University London. We're going to go through the 3D modeling using Solidworks this time, and within this session we're going to go through the 3D modeling techniques to understand them better. Also, we're going to go through the different solid features in Solidworks such as the holes, grooves, ribs, chamfers, sweeps, shell, and much more, and we're going to start modeling together with a few tutorials that I designed for you. So let's begin the today's session. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click on and launch the Solidworks. And once the Solidworks has been launched, I'm going to create a new part. Hopefully you remember you can either click on here using the this window, but if in case you don't see it there, you can easily go into here, click on a file, new, or you can do a Control and N. It's all the same. And because it's a model, we're gonna work with the part level. So I'm gonna click on the part, I'm gonna click on OK, and I'm gonna let the software to open up and create a new file for me. So now, hopefully you remember from the previous session, in order to create a 3D model, we always start from a sketch. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the sketch again, and in order to do a 2D sketch, I click on here, which basically is a 2D sketch, and I have to specify what plane I want to operate. This time I'm gonna go with the top plane, for instance, and I'm gonna make a rectangle. So I'm gonna use it at 2 points, and now once I finish, I'm going to apply the smart dimensioning to give dimension, and let's say I'm gonna put this one as 150 mil and this one as 100. And in order to make sure what dimension, what units you are using, you can see that you will see the dimension there, and you can change the units in here basically. So I'm gonna click on OK, and you can see this is the 2D sketch I created. It's fine for me, and I'm going to exit the sketch by clicking on the exit the sketch, and you will see that this is the 2D drawing that I created, and I want to convert that sketch to the 3D model. So what I used to do, I used to go to the feature and click on extrude to be able to convert it to the 3D model. So these are the things that we already done into the first session, but I'm gonna quickly talk about them because we're gonna continue with these features. And you can see here is basically once you highlighted your sketch, which basically because I already had that sketch and then I went to the extrude, it automatically pick it up. But if not, I can easily come here and highlight the sketch that I have. And you can see there I can specify the amount of the extrude in here. Let's say 50 for instance, or even I can use basically this arrow to control that direction. And also in here in direction, I can basically reverse the direction. I can either go with the blind, which blind give me an option that I can type the amount of the extrude that I'm looking for, or I can use these. Basically, if there's a surface available, I can highlight that one that will be extended on that surface, or if there is another body, I can highlight that one, and so on. And also the other thing, if in case you want to have it in the other directions, you would be able to activate the other direction, and the same as this one, you have the full control of it. You can either control the dimension through here, type it in here, or decide based on what direction you're gonna go for. Also, if I'm looking to give some sort of the draft or an angle, I can come here and click on the draft on and off, activate it, and give an angle. Let's say I'm gonna give 25 degrees angle, and you can see here it gives me the 25 degrees angle as well. And all of these coming from basically this sketch. If I open that one, it's basically a sketch one that's gonna run these extrude. And once I'm happy with everything, I'm gonna click on OK. So let me get rid of these draft, and I'm gonna make a normal box like that. And this is my model that I just created using the 2D sketch, and you can see that's my sketch level, and that's the a 3D model I got through the extrude feature. So that's basically creating an extrude. If I want to cut something in this software, what I need to do, same as any other CAD models, I have to have a sketch again. So what I can do, I can go to the sketch and I need to create a sketch. This time I'm gonna pick up that surface, that face, as my plane. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on a sketch and I need to pick up a plane or a face that I want to work with. So I'm gonna pick up that face as my reference plane. And you can see here I'm not normal to. So in order to do a normal to, you can do a Control and 8, or what you can do, you can go there and click on here, which basically make it normal to view. So I can now easily draw something. For instance, if I want to make a rectangle, I can easily make a rectangle in here. Make sure you apply the correct dimensioning. For instance, if in case you want to give the dimension to this one, let's change it to the 30 and put this one as a 60, for instance. You can come here and then give the dimensions. Also, if you want to control the location of this one, you can easily use the dimensioning, for instance, with the sides to put it into the location that you're looking for. And once you're happy with the 2D level of your sketch, you click on Close Dialog, come out of the sketch, and now if you rotate your model, you can see that I just created a sketch on top of that 3D model. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna cut it basically. So in order to do that is I will go again, I'll move on from the sketch level, go to the features level, and I click on Extruded Cut. This is the difference between, for instance, this one with the Siemens and X. Siemens and X, they try to join the extrude and the extrude cut together. They call it extrude and extrude subtract. Here into the SolidWorks, you have the two separate features, which I much more prefer, to be honest, because that would be easier to look for what you're looking for. So this time is Extruded Cut. As you can see here, you would be able to cut something in this part, and you need to highlight the sketch you have again, and I need to put the value for the amount of extrude that I'm looking for. For instance, if I'm looking for the 20 millimeter cut, I can click on there and I can click on OK, and you can see I do have a 20 millimeter cut over there. And if you want to see your model, for instance, you can have a look better here, that basically you have that cut there. If in case you want to modify that 3D feature, same as any other 3D feature, you can right click in here, you can go to the edit features, and you will have the control to the model again. So I can change the length of that cut. If you want, for instance, you can go from the blind, you can go to true all, which basically gonna cut everything. Or if in case you're gonna go and put that up to the next available face, that you would be able to pick that up, that one here, or you can put it up to the surface, up to the body, and so on. If there was another body basically in here, I would be able to do it like that. In this time, I'm gonna go for the true all, and you can see here I can also give the draft angle. So for instance, if in case you want to give it an angle, you would be able to do the same things. Or if in case it's a mid plane, you're gonna have it in both direction, you can activate the second direction there. And that is how you basically gonna create a cut. So now you might say, okay, if you want to create a hole, what you would be able to do? Of course, the easiest version, or the one of the ways that you can do that, and this is something we've done last week, was basically just creating a circle in the 2D sketch. So let me do it this time. And what you can do, you can go here, click on a sketch again, and click on a sketch. Make sure you pick up the plane that you want to operate. That's basically that face gonna be my reference. I'm gonna do a Control and 8 to gonna bring it to the normal to view, and I'm gonna make a normal circle. And what I will do, I just need to specify the radius of it, or the diameter of that one, and of course I can put it to the where I want to. So let me put this one as a 20. Of course I can control it where I want to have it basically. So I need to locate that one. So let's put that one as a 20, for instance. Also this one I can control that the distance between the center and also the side. So I'm gonna put that one as 50, let's say. And now I'm gonna click OK and exit the sketch. And you can see this is the circle that I made as a 2D sketch and I'm gonna convert it to 3D. So what I will do, I will go to the features, I will click on Extruded Cut and pick up that one, this sketch, and I will be able to define the length of it, or I can put it as a through all for instance and click OK, and you can see this is how you would be able to create a hole. However, this method, if in case you want to use this method to create a hole, once you convert this one to the technical drawing, it wouldn't automatically, the software wouldn't automatically pick it up as a hole. For instance, if in case you want to use it for the analysis, for the CAE analysis, or if in case you want to do a computer-aided manufacturing, it wouldn't pick it up as a hole. It would consider as a cut, but it don't consider as a hole. And if in case your model that you want to follow the GD&T and also the ISO or British standards, once you get a 2D drafting for, or if in case you want to use the software based features for the computer aided manufacturing, or we call it the artificial intelligence part, which would be able to understand your model and find out the appropriate machining for it, it wouldn't be able to pick that one up because it's just considered as a normal cut and it's not a hole. So in order to make a hole, what you need to do in a proper way is basically you need to go and use a hole wizard. So let me click on the hole wizard. So once you click on the hole wizard, you can see the same as any other software. You will have the control on the top of it. With the first tab and a second tab, you would be able to create the points and define the positions. So in here, you will see that within the hole wizard, you will get access to different type of the holes. The first one, for instance, you can see once you go over, they will give you a hint, which basically this one is a counter bore. The second one is a countersink. So these are really useful for you to have it opening. So if in case you want to screw something, for instance, if in case you want to drill something, they give you some sort of the good direction. You can have the different angles there. You can go and create a simple hole or general hole, let's say. You can also go and create a straight tab, which basically is it's a hole with a threaded hole. You can go and create a taper tab. You can go and create basically the legacy hole, which you will have a control on every single elements of that hole, which you're gonna actually go and practice as well. And something which is quite interesting, also SolidWorks decided to put the slots in here as well. You have access to the counter bore slot, the counter sink slot, as well as the normal slot in here. So what I'm gonna do in this time, I'm gonna go with a general hole and normal hole. So what I will do, I'll just click once on it, and you can see I have access to the different types of the standards. So you can see I have the British standards, the ISO, the inch or the metrics, and you will be able to load these from the library. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and pick up the ISO, for instance, and you can see I will have the subtypes. So that was the main type that I just picked up as a general hole, and this time I can see the different subtypes. I can see the drilling, the screws, for instance, the tap drills, the dowel. So all of these you will be able to actually control them here, and these are really important because once we will take it to the next step, either as a technical drawing, as I mentioned earlier, or through the computer-aided manufacturing, different tools is required to just make these, and these are really important to actually you implement the correct kind of holes that you're looking for. Let's say I'm gonna go with the drill sizes. It's a drill hole, and you can see I do have access now to a different standard drill sizes that it's available in the library. So I can change these to whatever I'm looking for based on the what it is in the library that's available to use. I'm gonna go and pick up the 20. And also, if in case I want to have a control of those dimensions, I can click on the show custom sizing, and you can see the diameter of it I would be able to control. So I would be able to control the whole diameter if in case I want to go with the non-standard versions, and also the ending of it as well. So you can see by default I have 118 degrees at the end of it. If in case I don't need anything, I can change this one to the 1 because it's a range between 1 and 180 degrees. It doesn't accept the 0. If in case you're going to go everything with default and standard, so you can untick this one and let the software to go with the standard version of the 20 diameter drill. Also, for the length of that hole, you have a control. You can either go with a blind, which basically you can put the length that you're looking for. Let's say I'm gonna give that one, I don't know, let's put it as a 30 for instance, or I can go and use the different type. A through all basically goes through everything, or if there is another surface, I can pick that one up, or I can go with the up to the next, which basically next available space. And once you're happy with whatever you specify in terms of the type of it and the specification of the holes, then you can move on to the position of it. And with the position technique take you to the 2D sketches or 3D sketch if in case you want for. And what you need to do, you need to specify a face or plane you want to operate. So I want to have the hole on that face, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click once, and you can see I would be able to just start sketching in there. Because I want to see it as a normal too, I can use either Control and 8, or what I can do, I can go there and click on here, and you can see I do see my part into the a 2D environment, and it's a normal to view. And every time I click there, it will just create a point, and that's basically that yellow. It shows the edge of the hole based on the specification that it created. So if I click once, you can see that's the first point, and if I'm gonna move on, I can click more and more, and I will get much more points. Because I'm fine with just creating 1 point, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click escape once, and now I'm still into the 2D modeling environment. Do you see that? And what I will be able to do, I will be able to locate and give the dimensions to that specific point that I just created. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a smart dimensioning, and I'm gonna say the distance between this one and that side, I'm gonna leave it as the for instance 60. So I will do a smart dimension again. I will put it on the distance between this one and that one, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring it to the middle. I think it didn't pick that one up. Let me do it one more time. The distance between this one and that one, sometimes it doesn't take it, so make sure actually you select things correctly. And I'm gonna leave this one as 50, so to bring it to the middle. And once you are happy with everything, if you click on OK, then you can click on here as an OK, or can go back and change the type of it, whatever you prefer. Because I'm happy with everything, I define the types, I actually position it based on what I was looking for. I'm gonna click on OK, and you can see the hole has been created. If in case you want to see it better, you can rotate the model, and you can see that's the hole I created. And the difference between this one and the first extrude cut I have, you see the diameter there, it shows that it's basically it's a hole. And once I take it to the computer in the manufacturing, it can easily consider those, because I already know what features looking to use for this model to create it. So it knows what tools is recommended or is suggested basically to create that hole, using, for instance, the drilling in this case. If in case you want to see or if you want to modify every single thing, let me actually show you this wireframe. Basically, you can see that's a 20 millimeter diameter. Also, we had 118 degrees at the end. Every single of these you would be able to control. You can always come back and modify your feature, basically by just right clicking, going to the edit feature, and you can see there again, you can change the type, you can change the drills, you can go on the customized one, change these. For instance, if you want to get rid of, for instance, the angle at the bottom, you have a full control of it. Even if you want to, for instance, change the position of your model, you can easily go there, and what you would be able to do, for instance, you would be able to change this. Let's say I'm gonna click escape first because it wanted to actually create a point for me, and this time I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna change this one to the, let's say put it 80, because it was 20, it was 100, and this one, so I'm gonna put that 75, because otherwise I will go and get close to the edge. I'm gonna click OK and OK, and you can see I moved my moved this hole to the side basically. So everything is editable, and that's the beauty of using the sketches and the 3D feature. And that's the first type of it. Let's go and see the other type of that one as well. Let me go and put that one to the 3D view so I can see it better. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move on and create another the hole here. So let me click on the hole wizard again, And this time I'm gonna go and explore, for instance, the counter board. You can see with the counter board, same as what I just created as a general hole. Again, you have access to a standard, which you can change. And also you will see the different type of it. You can see the whether you're gonna have it a hex screws with the different gradings. You're gonna go, for instance, with the slotted cheese head, for instance, which is the ISO 1207. All of these are what you can load from the library, the different type of them. You can study at your own time what the difference between those is. These are really important if in case you want to work as a CAD designer in industry. So that's really important to actually know what's the differences. And again, you can see the whole specification there. You will see the different M sizes, the sizes of the holes there. You can modify them. In this case, because it's a 20 mil, I'm gonna need to go to the M20, which basically M20 is the diameter of the 20 millimeter. And you can see you will have the different fittings. So the normal, or you can go with the close, or you can go with the loose. If I go with the customized sizing, you can see if I go with the normal fit, then I will get a 22 millimeter at the opening of the hole. And you can see that basically then it will then make it as a counterboard diameter, and you will see that you will have a control on the counterboard depth as well as the at the bottom of this one. If I change that to the close, you can see that one become 21 millimeter the whole diameter. And if I go with it loose, that one will then change to the 24. So these are really important to just see that what kind of fitting you're looking for to use, and also if in case you want to customize it, you would be able to click there. But bear in mind, whenever you customize these, you'll take it out of the standards, and basically if in case you're gonna do manufacturing, you need a special tool in order to manufacture that one for you, because a normal 20 millimeter drill wouldn't be able to do it for you. And also the same as the previous one, you can control the length of the hole basically. If in case you're gonna put a blind, you can put the numbers, or you can decide whether you want to have it as a true all, or you put you make it as a up to next. Same as before, what I can do, I can go to the position, and I would be able to click on where I want to have that hole. I'm gonna do a control and 8 to have a normal 2, and this time I'm gonna leave it there. And of course, I can go with the smart dimensioning and give the location for that one. I'm not going to change this. I'm gonna keep it as normal basically. I'm gonna click OK, and once I'm happy with everything, I click on OK, and that's it. So you can see this is what I made as the C-bore hole. You can see here is a C-bore M20, and also it's a hex head bolt. And even if in case you want to see what's going on inside the part, basically you can see, because it's a C-bore, it's basically you have the opening like that, so that's there's a diameter on there, and also there's a diameter in there which are different. If in case you want to change anything else like before, you can click on edit, and you can see here that these are the information you can control. That's the standard M20, but if in case you want to change the opening of it, the actual C-bore diameter, you can control everything in here. Also, even if in case you want to change the type of it, let's say I'm gonna change that one to the countersink, you can see it automatically change the type of as well. So you can see that now I would have access to 3 different types, and also different sizing. You can see these M sizes now is different because it's gonna go and load it from the library. This one is quite a small, that's why the yellow signs like that. The only difference right now is because it's already know the hole that you have, the point you have, it would be able to actually visualize it for you. And same as before, you can even define the fitting, you would be able to customize it, and so on. Even if in case you're gonna go back and change your position for that hole, you can go there and change it, and you can see now it's been changed. So I'm not going to go through to all of them because you can easily go and explore and can do it at your own time. The only thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just show it to you how you would be able to create a threaded hole basically in there. So let's go and click on the hole wizard again. So let me bring the shade back, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and use the hole wizard again. But this time we're gonna go and use basically the straight tap. So once I click there, again, I will have access to the standards and I will be able to move it around between the standards. And this time we're going to go with the ISO, but of course, if you want to change, you can change it there. But now you can see that you will have access to the different kind of, the taper hole in here. And these are, you would be able to actually apply and make the thread in here. So first, you will have the whole specification. You will see that these are all available. The threads, it basically is a thread and also the pitch. So let me go again with the M20, but this time you will see there is a multiply by something. And if you go and check there, basically that's the diameter and that's the pitch angle that you will have there. Again, you would be able to go and control the length of it. So you would be able to control the height of that one. This time I'm going to put it as a 30. And now you will be able to decide, first of all, what kind of the thread you're going to have. You can see the 2 multiplied by the diameter. That's by the default it has in here. And of course, what you can do, you can also put out of that 30, how much of it you want to be threaded. For instance, if you want to have a full thread, you just put it as a 30. If you want to have a half a thread, I'm gonna do it this case. I'm gonna go for 15 for to have a half a thread, and you can see you would be able to go with the basically you can go with the you want to see the thread or you don't want to see the thread, and that's the difference here. So for instance, if you want to just go with the normal one that doesn't visualize it for you, you can go there. If in case you want to see that thread, basically you can click there, and if in case you want to remove the thread, you would be able to go there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pick up this one and click on OK. And before I do that, make sure actually you make that a point that's gonna show you the position of that hole. I'm gonna go there and pick that face. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't want to do a normal too. Of course, you have to put it there, and also you have to put the correct dimensioning in order to be able to position it properly. I'm happy with everything because this is just a demonstration. I'm gonna click on escape once and click on OK in here, and you can see that I just created a hole in there. That's basically is a thread hole, and you can see it actually it's available to be seen in here, and also you can see that's a whole thread. So let me go and visualize it for D using the hidden lines, and you will see that this is basically what I just created in here. So basically it's just a representation. You can see the hole there. If in case you want to modify that, you can go there. You can see that's the information basically you have for that hole that you just created. And of course you can see and change them in here. If we come there, you can change the information about the thread that you just made. But if you notice, still you won't be able to see that thread to the software. And that's basically, although you use that, don't worry, because there's a thread here, you already know what it is, but it doesn't visualize it for that. If in case I'm gonna bring the shade back, and what I can do, I'm gonna go with the section view, and I'm gonna do a section in here. And you can see if I do a section, let's say in there, I still wouldn't be able to see those threads. Let me have a look. You can see you still wouldn't be able to see those threads. So now what I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna talk about how you would be able to bring those threads. So what I will do, because I'm gonna come back to this one, I'm gonna create a new model in here. And I will create a new sketch. Let's say I'm gonna make a circle as a base, and I'm gonna do that on the top plane. So let me do a normal to view. It's basically a circle, and what I will do, I will just let's say put a diameter of the 15 here, and I'm gonna put it as a 50 millimeter. I'm happy with everything. I'm just gonna click OK, exit the sketch, and I will apply an extrude feature on it. Let's say this time with a length of 100. Okay. So once we have this model, basically, now I'm gonna apply a thread. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply the both thread. I'm gonna apply the thread outside and thread inside. In order to do that, I have to go and look for thread. And of course, I know where it is. If you click here, thread is there. But if in case you don't know where is thread, like any other software these days, they have a command feature. Make sure to go to that search bar, but then what I recommend, right click there, go to the commands, and now search for a feature you're looking for. Let's say I'm going to put thread. And if you type and click enter, what it does, it tries to locate it for you. And you can see here it brought the manual of it for me. So if in case you want to know more about that, let me close this one. But make sure if you click there, you can see that basically you say that it's a thread, it's a tree, these are for milling. This is what I'm looking for. If I click on that show option, it just show where it is. And that's a really useful tool, to be honest. It just tells me I have to go there, click there, and I would be able to find the thread there. So let me open the thread. Okay. And for a thread, it's quite close to like any other software. If you remember now, this is what I was talking about. These software, they are all quite close to what, for instance, we explained on the Siemens NX. A thread, it should have a location first. It just say that the edge of where you want to have it, the edge of the cylinder. Let's say I'm gonna have and start a thread from here, so I'm gonna highlight that edge. And now what it says in here, basically, I have to specify the location where it wants to start, the top plane. I want to highlight it, for instance. I need to go there. And as you can see here, it says the option on start, where you want to have it. Because sometimes you don't want to start from the beginning. But I'm going to pick that one up. So I'm going to start from the top. And if in case you're going to give an angle to it, I don't want to start it as an angle. But also it tells that what's the length of the thread you're looking for. I want to go with, that one was 100, so I'm going to go with 50, let's say, 50 millimeter. And also in here on the specification, then you would be able to control the thread you have. I'm going to wait for the software to be able to generate that thread. And now you can see in here, I would be able to control the size of the thread that I have. You can see the ranges. Also, if I get zoom quite close, do you see that? These are the threads, but these are really small. That's why when I zoom out, it wasn't show it to me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change the size of the thread in here. Let me go and, for instance, let's go with this one. And of course, bear in mind that you can even change the type. I'm gonna change the inch to the metric, and so I'm gonna wait for the software, because every time you click on that, you can see try to visualize it. Let me go and to the metric tab of metric die. Usually I use a tab because I'm gonna see those M's. These are what I'm familiar for, but of course you can go based on what you're looking for. And I'm gonna go for, let's say, M22. And you can see it here. You can have a control of those there. Basically, it just says the diameter is 50 millimeter, but I can overwrite it. If I'm happy with everything, it's okay. But of course, that was the 50 millimeter. But of course, you can control that. You can control basically the distance between each thread or the pitch. And also you're gonna, if in case you're gonna give the angle, I'm not going to do that. Also, you would be able to specify whether it's a right hand thread or it's a left hand thread, and so on. What I also need to do, make sure you move from the metric tab, because once you put it on the tab, let me have a look, do you see that thread goes out? Whereas a thread should remove the material, should cut it. So make sure you go and change the metric tab to metric die. And now you will see that you're going to cut it. It's the correct sizing because it's around the 50, so I can easily get the thread around it. And I'm going to click on OK. And you can see that's the visualization of the thread. Let me actually put it to the full. And it's just the length that I put for that one. If in case I want to change the length of the thread, I can come back here. And let's say this time we're going to go with a full thread, which in here we put it as a 50. I'm gonna go and go up to selection, and I will say up to the end, and if I click OK, and you see that's the full thread. And that's what you can do with the thread. So you've also learned how you would be able to apply the thread. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna show it to you how you would be able to apply the thread inside the cut that you have. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest, because if in case you want to take it to the cam or also an assembly, sometimes these type of thread will cause a problem for you. But I much more prefer using the whole wizard. But doesn't matter, even this one is absolutely fine. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get rid of these thread that I just created, and what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go and do create a sketch on top of these one. So let me create one in here with the dimension of let's put it as a 20, or let me put it as a 30 for instance. Okay, and click OK and exit the sketch. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna use a cut feature to remove the material. I'm gonna put it as a true all, and to just cut it through all, and I'm gonna click OK. So what you will be able to see here, that I created a cut, and now if I go to the section view by just clicking on there, which you would be able to use this arrow to just see the section of it, but you will see that is basically it's a normal cut, and you don't have any kind of a thread inside. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply a thread. So same as before, I go to the the whole wizard section, I go below it, and I'm gonna click on thread. And rather than just highlight the outer edge, I'm gonna highlight this one, the inner edge. And what I will do, I'm gonna specify the start, which is from the top. And let me go with the a blind one again, because I'm gonna go with the half of it. And I don't change anything here, so I'm gonna go with this one, everything as normal, but of course I already explained these. The size that I have to now change, because this one would then change. Let me go and pick up the one that is suitable in my case. So we put it as a 30, so I gotta go with the 30 and click OK. And this time, rather than it would be die, it should be tap, because it wants to be outside of it. I gotta click OK. So the tab actually put it outside, the DP actually removed the material, whereas in here it's gonna be outside of it. And now what you can see here, if I put it as a cross section, you can see I just created basically a thread inside of my model. And now it also has a good representation as well. If you want, for instance, to make a bolt and a screw, something like that, you would be able to apply a thread in here. Let me actually go to that thread and make it as a full length. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change the length of this one. I'll make it as the up to selection, and I'm gonna go and pick it up to the end and click OK. So you will have the full thread basically. So this is the another way that you will be able to apply the thread, if in case you want to visualize it. Otherwise, the whole wizard is absolutely fine. Something, if in case you have the question, because I just touched on it, I didn't talk about that. Try to see the visualization in here. For instance, when I went to the tab, basically the tab is just the thread goes outside of that edge you have, the die goes inside of that one. So basically, if it's an inner hole, you go to the tab. If it's outside, you go with the die. That's a straightforward, but of course you need to apply the appropriate size of the thread based on what you have in here as the diameter, unless you want to override that diameter or even change the pitch between those. So let me go back to the one that we were talking about, which was basically the part 1. And you can see here, still, as I mentioned, if in case you're gonna go with the simplified version of that, which doesn't visualize it, that's the proper way of doing it. If in case you want to see the thread, you would be able to go and use that one. So let me get rid of these hole that I just created. And what I want to do, I want to talk about let's say if you want to just create a few holes all together. And let me actually get rid of these two as well, because I want to save the distance there. It's okay. I want to create get rid of a sketch as well. Great. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the hole wizard. I'm gonna go with the simple holes, and what you will see there, I'm gonna go with the positioning, and you can see that in here, if I want to have few of them, let's say it's one and second one and a third one, and of course I can apply the positioning to make sure it's correct. And now if I click on OK, you'll see that I just created all those holes all together. So that's the another way that if in case you want to have the holes, for instance, if in case on the sides, I can easily do it in one go. Let me do and create one more type of it. I'm gonna go with the hole wizard again, and now I want to just talk about this one, the legacy. With the legacy hole, you can see I can go with a simple hole, which basically I will have a control on diameter or depth. If in case I want to change any of these, I can double click, and let's say I will be able to change this one, the diameter. Let's put it as a 5, and you can see that it's what I will be able to do. And if I change the type of it, you see much more in here. Let's say go with a C drill, and you can see if I go with a C drill, you would be able to change every single of these elements. And you can see here, for instance, I'll have the diameter, the depth, the C drill diameter, the C drill depth, the drill angle and C drill angles, and every single of that you would be able to control. That's with the legacy. So with the legacy, you have a control on every single elements of these, and the same as before. For instance, this one, once you are happy with the information that you put, what you can do, you can go to the position, put it on where you want, let's say in here, for instance, and let me click on OK, and you can see this is what you actually created it here. Let me put it onto the section view, so hopefully you can see it better. I'm not sure whether it didn't pick it up correctly, so let me, yes, here, that's better. And basically this is what we just created in there. So this is really useful features, and as I mentioned, it's really important actually to use the proper holes in here if in case you want to do an analysis on it or do a computer aided manufacturing later. So let's move on by learning more about the different type of the features. So let me create a new part again, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a sketch. Click on a sketch, and let's say I'm gonna go with the front plane this time, and what I wanna do, I'm gonna make, let's say, a straight line in here, and I'm gonna, for instance, make something like this. And of course, make sure that whenever you design, you give the dimensions, but in this case, it's not that important. That's why I went with that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make an arc between these two. So what I will do, let me go with this type, sorry, and I'm gonna connect these two together, and that's absolutely fine. I'm gonna click on closing the dialog and exit the sketch. So let's say you have this one, and now we just practiced it last time, but we're gonna talk about it again. You would be able to see based on what you have what it actually software recommend for you. So you can see now I do have much more less types, because technically I have to apply these, then it will activate the rest of these one for me. So I'm gonna go with the revolve, and for the revolve I need to pick it up the curve. So what I usually do, I go there and pick up the full sketch, and what I'm gonna do, I need to pick up an axis of rotation. For me it's gonna be this one, and you can see that if in case you want to have the full revolve, it's a 360, or if in case you want to go with a half revolve, let's say this 180, and click OK, and this is how you would be able to do the revolve. Basically this model gonna go around and rotate it, and this is how you get the revolve. Revolve is another useful feature that we use. We talk about is one of the tutorials, so I wanted to actually show it to it here. Is really a straightforward, and also it's quite an easy thing to apply. Same as what we've done on Revolve, also we have the Revolve Cut, which basically what the Revolve Cut does is cutting, but again through the revolve. So let me go and click on Revolve Cut, and again I need to specify the plane I want to have the sketch with. Let's say I'm gonna pick up this one. So just click once, And now let me do a Control A because I want to get the normal too. And you have to make a sketch. Let me create a rectangle. Of course, you give the proper dimension. I'm not going to do it this time. Once you're happy with everything, just click on a sketch. And now what it asks you, an axis of revolution. I'm gonna pick up this one. And you can see it tried also represent it for me as well, that how the revolves go for. If in case the half a revolve, you would be able to give it there. Also, even if in case you want to have a two different direction, you can define it. I'm happy with everything, and you can see basically what has happened, and that rectangle with the revolve would have a cut as well. So that's a really useful tool as well if in case you want to use the revolve cut. Is a straightforward. Basically the only difference other than roadmall cut, it goes through a revolution as well using this one. So let me continue by talking about a few more features. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a new file again. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a sweep bus in here, and in order to do that I need to have a sketch and also the path. I will start by sketching the path first, and what I will do, I'm gonna go to the sketch, click on a sketch, and what I will do, I'm gonna pick up, let's say, the front plane, and I'm gonna make a line like that, a perpendicular line on there as well. And let me give some dimensions. Let's say I'm gonna pick this one as 100, and I'm gonna change this one to 200, and I'm gonna apply a fillet here for the 50s. Absolutely fine. I'm gonna click OK. So that's the path that I just created, and I'm gonna exit. So now in order to have a profile, I want to create a profile on there, but if you notice, if I go to right plane, it's basically there, whereas I want to create a profile over there. So I want to have a profile in here. So in order to do that, I need to create a new plane. So hopefully from one of the tutorials we've done into the previous session, you learned that what I need to do in order to create a new plane, I need to go to here where it says the reference geometry. Below that, there is an option which I can create a new plane, and I need to have a reference. So this time I'm gonna pick that, the first one, as a reference, and the second one I'm gonna pick up just that point at the beginning, and you can see I would be able to create a new plane there, which this is the plane that I'm gonna use to create a new profile. So I'm gonna click OK, and you can see this is the plane that I just created. While I'm selecting this plane, I'm gonna go and click on a sketch. So therefore the sketch I'm gonna make is within this plane one, which is the plane one that I just created. I'm gonna do a Control 8 because I wanna have a normal too, and I need to make a 2D sketch. Let's say I'm gonna make a rectangle, but this time I'm gonna go and make a center rectangle, and let's make something like this is okay. Let me go and make one more, something like that. It's okay. Of course, you need to give the dimension, but for me it's absolutely fine. I don't want to give any dimension right now. And I'm gonna click exit a sketch, and you can see I just create basically a sketch there. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a sweep bus, a sweep add-on the guide, of course. I'm gonna click on here, and I need to specify the sketch. You can see it automatically pick up the sketch 4, and I need to give basically the path. So we already defined the profile, and you can see if I go to the next section, it's a path. I'm gonna pick this one, and you can see I would be able to make this shape through there. So you can see basically what has happened. The 2D sketch, whatever I had there, it would be able to actually goes along that kind of, the guide there. And of course I would be able to modify a few things. Let's say if I go there, I can go to the not the guided gear, let's say to go to the option. You can see it's a follow the path, and I don't have any twists here. I can specify the twist in there. I can specify the angles, let's say 20 degrees for instance, and you can see it will twist. You can have a look as well. So it's a 20 degrees twist in here. You can, let me do it much more, let me do it as a 45 degrees, so you can see that basically start a twist with the 45 degrees. Of course, even if you want, you can put that a number of revolutions. So let me change the degrees to change it to the revolutions. Let's go with a 0.2, And you can see that's the number of revolution as well. You can control. Of course, it depends on the size of this one. Um, uh, let's say if I change that size, I can go with a much more number of revolution. Let me go back to this one because I want to see that how you can do the twist. It's this one. Let me go and change the size a little bit smaller, so then I can give much more number of revolutions. This one, to be honest, let me get rid of this one actually, and we'll have only that. So this one is a 90. I'm gonna change it to the 50, and this one, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change it to the 15. Seems to be okay. So hopefully now I have a better control for the number of revolution. You can see it here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to sweep, the sweep that it is created, and now number of revolution, I'm gonna change it to 2. So now you can see the number of revolution as well. So what it does actually revolute as well. So this is a really useful tool, to be honest, especially if in case you want to create a pipe or something like that. Even for creating the pipes, once you go here, there is a really good option as well. So let me go and change this one, the sketch profile. If I change this to the circular profile, you can see it just assume that there's a circle and easily go and follow that path. It's a really useful tool if in case you want to use the pipe, you would be able to use these feature as well, and you can see that actually we use it a lot. And in order to get rid of the materials from the inside, you can either create a 2 basically circles or even 2 bases you can see, or you can apply a thin layer, or you can apply a shell, which we're gonna go and practice them once we do the tutorials together. So let me create a new file again, a new part, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about the sweep cut. So we already ran the sweep as an extrude, and I want to see that what I can do with it a sweep cut basically. So we've done the sweep boss, and now we're gonna move to the cutting area. So again, I need to have a 3D model. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a quick 2D model. Let's say I'm gonna do it in the top plane, then absolutely fine. Let me go and create a rectangle basically in here. So I just created that rectangle. Okay, and of course you need to give the dimension. I'm not going to do it now, and I'm going to just extrude it. Let me see how much I'm gonna extrude that. Yeah, this seems to be 30 seems to be okay. I'm gonna click OK. So I already have the base, and now what I'm gonna do, I need to make a path first. And in order to do that, I need to go to the sketch. I will click on a 2D sketch. Let me pick up that plane. Let me do a Control 8 as well to have a normal to view. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna click on a spline in here. And by applying this spline, I want to then create a path. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make basically a line like that. I'm gonna bring it down in here, and then let me bring it up. That's absolutely fine. And I'm gonna click on escape. I'm happy with just that spline. I'm gonna exit the sketch. Now if you look at it, that's the path I created. What I want to do now, I want to create a new sketch on here as a profile. So what I will do, I'll click on a sketch, make sure I pick up that one, do a control, and wait me a second, it didn't pick up that sketch. Let me do a next sketch. I'm gonna pick up the sketch. Yeah, so if you notice that that's the sketch 2, I still didn't create a new sketch. So make sure you create a new sketch and pick up that plane. Sometimes once you do that, it doesn't create a sketch for you. Now I'm in a sketch 3, so now I can do a normal 2, and this is where I want to basically draw my circle. So what I will do, I'm gonna go there and create a circle there, and you can give the dimension to that one. I'm not going to do it now. I'm gonna exit the sketch, and now if I go to basically the isometric trimetric, you can see that I do have a profile and I have these paths. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to features, but this time I'm gonna go with the sweep cuts. And with the swept cut, I have to have a profile and I have to have a path. And this one gonna be my path. So I'm gonna go through and cut it. And I'm gonna click on OK. What you see there, basically, this is what I made there. Is basically that model they're gonna go through and cut it. So that's a really useful tool as well. You can see the same as what I've done for a swept, but this time is basically a cut that I just created using this feature as well. Of course, if I increase the diameter of this one, let's actually do that. You can see it's everything is customizable. So let me go there and apply a smart dimensioning. This time is 13 mil. Let me do that as the 25 mil. If I click OK and exit the sketch, you can see also the swept will be updated as well. The swept cut will be updated as well, and you can see it in here. So that's it about this one. Let's go and talk about the more 3D features. So let me go and create a new part in here, and what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna talk about the loft and how I would be able to make a loft in here. So for the loft, basically I will have the two profiles in the two different planes. So what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna create a new sketch, and let's say I'm gonna have the first one on the top plane. And what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna make a normal circle in here. Let me get distance with this one. And what I will do, I want to create a, let's say, a circle with a diameter of 50. And of course, if in case you want to give the direction with this one, because then would help me once I make the path. Let me do that one as 85. And I'm gonna exit the sketch. What you can see here on the top plane, I create this one, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go onto the front plane, two different planes I'm looking for, and create a sketch. I'm gonna do a Control and 8. You can see now I'm into the front plane, and what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna make center rectangle. I'm trying to go from this one to there, and what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna give a dimension to one side, let's say here, and I'm gonna match it with the circle that I have to just make it nicer. To be honest, it doesn't make any difference. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add relations to make sure that all the sides they have the same length. So what I can do, I can pick up everything, and I'm gonna say that they are sorry, why did it parallel equal? And let me do Control Z. Yes, and I'm gonna say all of them are equal, and you can see now it's not in the center. So what I can do in order to bring it to the center, I can easily pick up that one, the coordination system, and say with this one I want it to be vertical. So this one but that one, so I'm gonna pick it up as a vertical. You can see now it goes there. And let's go and again give the distance between these 2 points again, same as before, and I'm gonna leave it as 85 again. So I'm gonna click exit the sketch, and you can see I do have 2 profiles, but they are in 2 different planes. And in order to make a path in between these 2 in here, with the 2D sketch, I won't be able to do that, because if I do a sketch, gonna go there. If I do a sketch in here, so what the easiest thing I can do, rather than I have a 2D sketch, I can go and make a 3D sketch. And the beauty of 3D sketch, I can have a 3D a drawing. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and use a 3-point arc, and I'm gonna connect this one, let's say with that point, and I'm gonna do it like that basically. So I'm happy with everything. I'm gonna click escape. Make sure you come out of the 3D sketch. In order to do that, usually you don't see exit sketch, but this one is highlighted. If you click one more time, you can see the sketch become active. You have a 2 profile and 1 guide that basically 3D sketch. Now I have everything, so I can go to the loft, and you can see that this one has been even. Let me delete it for you, because I'm gonna manually pick up everything. I'm gonna go to profile. That's my profile. I'm gonna connect it with this profile, which basically is sketch 2, and I have a curve that's gonna act as a guide for me, and that's basically this one. That's what I'm looking for. And let me click OK. And you can see that easily I connected these two together using a loft. Even if I want to make a halo shape, basically, I can go to the loft. I can go to the edit features. Same as before, I can go and basically apply a thin. So let me do a Control Z, because I'm gonna get rid of this loft. And now if I go to that one more time, so I'm gonna pick up this one, and if you remember the sketch 2, the guide, and now I have one option in here that says thin feature. If I click on thin feature, I can actually give thickness to that, and we have these into the 3D features. So you can have it as a one direction. I can have it as a mid plane, which basically, let me zoom in so hopefully you can understand plane. The mid one is basically the thickness on that side, the thickness on this side, and one direction is just thickness outside, and also I can do the two direction as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with the one directions and change this one, let's say to 10 mil, and I'm gonna click OK. So what you can see here, I'll also make the halo shape using a loft as well, which is a really useful tool. So loft is basically whenever you have a two profile in two different planes, you would be able to actually use the loft to connect them together. And there are lots of engineering shapes, for instance the blades, the wings, that you would be able to actually use this feature for it. So let's talk about how we can do the loft, but this time as a cut. So it's a lofted cut. Let me quickly create a new part. It's really simple, whatever we've done so far, but then the only difference is basically rather than you just do a normal loft, it would be cutting. It basically like in cutting material. So let me quickly create a sketch, a 2D sketch. Let me see. Let's go with the top plane, and I'm gonna create a 2D sketch. Let me go and you create a rectangle in here. I prefer to start it from the corner, to be honest. And let's give a few dimensions. Let's say this one is a 150, and this one is 100. And what I'm going to do, I'm gonna exit the sketch and go to the features, make it normal extrude, and now this time I'm gonna extrude it with the 50. Okay, so now again, like a loft, I want to have a two profile in two different planes. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a sketch. I don't know, let's say a sketch on that plane, and I'm gonna pick up this plane and click on a sketch, do a Control 8. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make a rectangle, or even let's go, in order to bring it to the center, I'm gonna go a center rectangle. What I will do, I'm gonna go, do you see that hint? And I'm gonna get the same hint from here as well. So hopefully I can find the middle. Awesome. And I'm gonna make something like that. And of course I can give the dimensions to these. Let's make that one as a 40 by 20, and even the side was I forgot the size of this one. Let me have a look. What size did I give to between these two? Yeah, that's okay. Let me quickly measure distance between this one and that one. Okay, 50 mil. So let's go and change that one to 25. Goes exactly in the middle. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come out of that sketch, and you can see I do have a sketch in here, and what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna create another sketch in there, which is two different planes. So I will click on a sketch, I'm gonna pick that one as a reference, do a Control 8, and so let me create I don't know, a circle here, for instance. I'm gonna make a circle, and I'm gonna give that one, even this one, the sizing is absolutely fine. I'm gonna exit the sketch, and you can see I have two different sketches, two different profiles. I'm gonna connect them together. So now I'll go to features, and what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go to the loft cut this time, and I'm gonna pick up both sketches, so the sketch 3 and sketch 2, and you can see now these two will be added together and cut things. So of course, if in case I wanted to have a path, so that was by default. If in case I wanted to go with a special path, I also could make that one. And let me do a cross section. I think that cross section in here would be a good thing, so it gives you a better idea. So you can see this is what I will be able to do. So it's exactly like what we've done with the loft, but this time is basically using the lofted cut. So that's it for this one as well, and let's go and explore a couple of more things, couple of more features, and then we will be able to finish the 3D part and go and practice it using the tutorials. So let me create a new part again, and now I'm gonna talk about the ribs. So in order to do that, I'm going to make a sketch. Let's say this time I'm gonna go with the right plane, and I'm gonna make an L shape base. So let's say it's something like that. Let me continue with this one as well, and I'm gonna go up like that, make this one go up and create that one. Okay, so let's say I have that base, and I'm gonna apply an extrude, and let me extrude it. Sorry, what I've done, it's okay. So let me do an extrude. The reason it was moving because I didn't give any dimension, so there is no dependency on that. Do you see that? Every time I move that one, the line is moving. So that's basically this is what I'm looking for. So let me actually, yeah, that's one side. I don't want to go with the two sides, because with the two sides I get a mid plane. Okay, let's say you have something like this, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a ribs between here and there. So in order to do that, I have to have again a guide, a line. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to a sketch and create a line from here to there. But you can see there is no plane there. In order to do that, I want to create a new plane, and in order to do it, same as before, I have to go to the plane, but this time the reference is different. First plane is this one, and a second reference is this one, and you can see automatically I will get an option for a mid plane, and you can see the mid plane would be activated. This is what I was exactly looking for. The reason I was hesitant to extrude it unsymmetrically on both sides, because I could easily get that plane exactly in the middle, if in case you don't want to create that plane. Because if I extrude it using the two sides, what will happen then, you will have a plane in between. But because I wanted to teach you how you can make a mid plane, that's why I decided to go with that route. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick that plane, the plane 1, click on a sketch, and what I'm trying to do now, I'm gonna do a Control 8. I'm gonna make a line that meet here and also reach there as well, and click on Escape and exit the sketch. So you can see what has happened is basically I do have a line there, and now I'm gonna use a ribs. So what I need to do, I need to go to Features, and now I'm gonna click on Rib, and you can see I would be able to give a thickness for that if you want to have a both sides, if you want to have a first side. So let's go with the both sides so you can explore it better. With the 10 mil is absolutely fine. Also you can give the loft. I'm happy with everything so far. So you can see this is how I easily created a rib in here. It's fully customizable, so I can go back in here. Let's say I'm gonna put it on one side. You can see that's on the basically the first side, or I can go and put it onto the other side of it, or I can go with the both side again. I can change this one. I can change basically the size of the rib is basically the distance between these two. So let's have a look. I'm gonna put it as the 30 degrees, and you can see that. Also in here, basically you can have it as a parallel to a sketch and normal to a sketch, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. So normal to a sketch is not something I'm looking for, but I'm going to talk about it later. Basically right now I'm going to have it parallel with what I have with the sketch. So these are parallel with the sketch that I have. And if in case you want to give some sort of angles to that, you can use this one. Let me give 10 degrees angle in here and click OK. You can see what has happened. You will have the angles. If you see there, you have a 10 degrees angle as a loft. There, let me go there and increase the angle 25 degrees. Hopefully now you can understand it better. 25 degrees loft outside. Oh, sorry, the draft outside. I was saying loft. The draft outside, or you can have it as the inside as well. Let me change this one then to the 10 degrees. So you can see if you put it as the inside, what will then happen? It will have a negative 10 degrees because it's gonna go inside. That's if in case you want to have the draft. If in case you're fine with the ribs, make sure you just switch that one off, and that's the normal rib that you just created. So that's one type of the rib. If you're coming from the Siemens NX, you can see we explore something like that, but this through the Solidworks is much more easier, and usually it's really straightforward. So let me go and then talk about the other kind of ribs which you would be able to create. So just create a new sketch, and what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna go to the sketch, make it 2D sketch, let's say this time a top plane, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the center rectangle. Let me create something like that, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply dimensions to it. So I'm gonna use that one for the base for the rib. Let's say 150, and this time this one as 100. And what I'm gonna do, let me go and do an offset and make that one as 20 mil or even 10 mil. That's absolutely fine, to be honest. Offset outside, I'm gonna do an exit sketch, so you can see I do have something like this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna extrude it. So this is what I've done, and now hopefully you can see that rather than I just do that one, what I can do, let me do Control Z. In this sketch, I could easily get rid of that one. Do you remember that I've applied the offset? Only one rectangle was absolutely fine for me if I wanted to create something like that using the thin feature, because I've noticed that I didn't talk about the thin features. I want to talk about that. So even this one that I have it, that's absolutely fine to get something like that I've done. If I go to the normal extrude that I had, there's an option here called thin feature, and this is exactly what I can do using that. So rather than having the two different rectangles or a rectangle and offset, you can easily use the extrude thin basically, or adding that thickness to it. So that's why we add these thin function using the 3D features. I realized that it didn't cover it. That's why I wanted to talk about that. So in this case, I'm gonna go with the normal extrude. I don't need that one, so let me get rid of that one, and it's a normal extrude that I want to have with the, let's say, at the height of 50. Absolutely fine. I'm gonna click OK. So I'm gonna have this one. Let me see, I don't want the thin I said. Let me delete this one. So I'm gonna have a sketch, an extrude of 50. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So what I'm gonna do now, let me see, 50 is okay. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make one quick sketch on the top. So I'm gonna make basically a base for my rib in here. Let me do a Control N8, and let's say I'm gonna make something like this. So let me give some length to that. So I'm gonna give the distance between those two as 10, and this one as 10 as well. Okay, so and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a cut, and rather than I go up to the end, I'm gonna go it for 40 degree, 45. Okay, so let's say you have this one, and now you're gonna use a ribs function. So in order to do that, again, I need to have a plane, and you decide where you want to have that plane. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with a mid plane between this one and that one, and mid plane is absolutely fine for me. And what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna do a sketch on that mid plane. So make sure your plane 1 is selected. Click on a sketch. Do a Control and 8 to go to the normal 2, and draw. Let's say I'm gonna draw something from here to there. Good. And I'm gonna do an exit sketch. So what you can see, I've done a sketch. I created a sketch on that mid plane, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on features, and again ribs. We are practicing rib, and you can see the same as before. I can apply the rib here, and you can see this is the rib that I just created. And basically, the reason it become like a floor, because the rib that I created is in here. You can see that if you go there, it's basically parallel to the sketch. So with the parallel to the sketch, I can apply the thickness for that. I can have it on one side, or I can have it as on two sides. So you practice these, and that's because it's parallel. But let's see if I go and make it as a perpendicular to the sketch, what has happened. And if I go that as a normal to a sketch and I click OK, you can see now it become act as a wall, because it's a normal to the sketch, and that was as the parallel to the sketch. If I want to make it a little bit nicer, let's go, I pick up the plane 1 again. I'm gonna go and click on a sketch again. Let me do a Control 8, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make let's say a line to here, and I'm gonna create a line from here to there, and let's apply a fillet between these two. Yes, seems to be okay. I'm gonna click OK, exit the sketch, and now apply the ribs again. So I'm gonna go to the features, I'm gonna click on rib, and you can see same as before. This is how I would be able to actually make a floor. Let's do and make it normal to, and to act as a wall, and that's what you can do basically with the ribs function or rib feature as well. So these are really useful, and you can see that once you go along with it, you will learn about them more. So let me, while I'm here, I'm gonna talk about a draft as well. So basically, the draft, we already talked about it. With the draft, you would be able to give the angle for that using the extruded bus. Once we were talking about it, let me get rid of these, and so you can see once you extrude something, you can apply the draft at the same time as well. But we're gonna see how we can apply it using the once we already have the 3D model. Let me get rid of these. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a sketch on, let's say, one side, and I'm gonna go to the 2D sketch. Let me pick up this one and do a Control 8 so I can have the side view. Let me go and make it like something like that. Doesn't matter. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that line to split my model exactly from there. So there's a feature in here. If I go to the curves, there's a feature called split line. And what I can do, I can use that line and ask it to actually basically project it across all areas. And if I click OK, so you can see that I'll have that line on every single side basically that I just made. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and apply the draft on it. So let me put it into the geometric so you can see it better. And now what I'm gonna do, now I'm gonna apply a draft. And with the draft, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the manual one in here, because with the manual one I can have a control, and I need to specify the direction of it. So you can either pick up a plane or a face as a reference. I'm gonna have the direction there, and I'm gonna pick up choose the parting line. So I'm gonna pick up all these edges that I just created using the split lines. Gonna highlight that one as well. And now I have a control on the some area of my model to give the draft angle. Let's say I'm gonna change this one to the 20 degrees, for instance. And if I click on OK, you can see what has happened. Then I apply a draft on a part of my model. So that's the difference between having a draft or using the draft as an extrude. If you want to go as a full draft, of course, it's much more easier to apply it at the same time once you have the extrude. But once you apply the draft just on the special area part of your model, you can use this method actually as well. So let's see about, I think it would be a couple more features, and that would be done for this session. Let's have a look to about the other features. So let's talk about the grooves and slots. To be honest, you don't need to use any kind of features in here because these are really straightforward. There are different ways that you can do that. Let's say you're gonna make the something with the groove, with the U groove, with the ball groove. You can easily use the Revolve Cut. For instance, let's say if in case you have a cylinder, let me do a sketch under the top plane, 2D sketch, and let me create this one. I'm gonna give the diameter of 50 to these. I'm sorry, diameter of 100 or radius of 50. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply extrude on that for the length of 100. Let's say, okay. And now what I'm gonna do, I need to have a sketch on the model. Let's say I'm gonna do a sketch in the mid plane, which is this one. I need to specify that plane, and I'm gonna create a sketch in here. Do a Control A to have a normal to. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a circle exactly in the center of this one. And let's say this one is okay. And of course, you can give the dimension to that as well. Let's make it as a 40, for instance. And I'm gonna close this one down and trim the rest of it. So I'll go with the trim into these, trim to closest, get rid of that one. And I need to have a reference, right? I'm gonna go and make a center line because for the revolve I need to have a reference, and I'm gonna make that one reference. So what I will do, I will exit the sketch, and now if I go with it, let's put it as a 3D. So now if I go to the features, I can go to the Revolve Cut, and basically that's gonna be the main profile, and also that's the axis for revolution. Automatically pick it up because it already know that's the curve and that's the axis. You can see I easily created basically the ball groove in here. And if in case I wanted to go and make the rectangle, I can go back in here, and let's say I'm gonna go and rather than I edit the feature, I'm gonna go and edit the sketch, for instance. And let me do a Control 8 normal too. So rather than having this one, so let me get rid of these, and let me zoom in. I'm gonna get rid of this one, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a rectangle. Something like that. And if I exit the sketch, and you can see it automatically updated, and that's because it become a rectangle. So to be honest, you don't need to consider that one because there are different ways you can easily generate this model using the Revolve. So it's not a feature that you can talk about. But if in case you are interested, you can easily do that part as well. So also the other thing which I wanted to talk about is about slot. So slot, if in case you're looking for it to find it out, you remember that once we created the the holes, we had that option. And also this one, you can see that I have access to the straight slot, to the using the center point, and different types. So let me go with that one. I'm gonna go and do a sketch there. I'm gonna do a Control 8, And you can see these are the different shape of it I will be able to create. So let me create this one using the 2 points there. And you can see what I will be able to do. I will be able to control these 2 points because these are the slot using the 2 points. So let me give the location. I don't know. Let's say the distance between this one and that one, or yeah, this one, or even, to be honest, it's, if I can grab a point somewhere, then you can give the location between those two in here. So you can see that you will be able to control this one, the distance between the 2 points, as well as the other side of it as well. So what you can do, you can control this one. Let's put that one, I don't know, as 20. And also I would be able to control this one as well. So that distance, let me then increase this one to 30, for instance. You can see that it's much more bigger. And that's basically a slot. So what you need to do, you need to apply a cutting, for instance. Of course, this is not the proper way. It's better to have a rectangle, but anyway. So I can go to the features. I can go to the extrude, not the extrude, sorry. Of course, if in case it's extrude slot, we can easily extrude it like that. If it's a slot as a cut, I need to go to the extrude cut, pick the full curve. Let me pick up, what was it? Was it a sketch? This a sketch? I don't remember. Yeah. And then put 20, let's say, to do a cut. And you can see that's the slot. So, and you can see it become a 2-step. So we have the different type of it as well. If you search for it, you can see that we have the 3 points arc one, the using the center point, so basically that's the center point, and control the 2 other points, or you have the 3 points. And these are really straightforward. You don't need to spend that much time about it. So once you explore more, these become quite simple. So the other features I wanted to actually talk about is shell and fillet, which are really straightforward. So let me create a new model quickly, and I'm gonna create a 2D sketch in the top plane. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna extrude it, and let me do it as a 50. So now, if in case you want to make it hollow, so I can apply a shell. With the shell, what you need to do, it just says what you need to do basically. You don't need to specify the faces you want to remove. Let's say you want to remove it from this face, right? And also the thickness. So you would be able to specify in here. If you hold the mouse, it just says select the faces you want to apply the thickness. So basically that one, and this one, and that one. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give 10 mil is okay. So you can see if I apply 10, so from each side it will keep 10 mil as a thickness and remove the rest of material. So basically without shell, what I had to do, I had to make a 3D model and then do a cutting on it. Of course with the shell is really straightforward, and then you can apply the shell basically to just do a cut and keep the thickness. So let's talk about the fillets and chamfers. So if you go to the fillet, you can see the fillet and chamfer, and basically this is what you see as a curvature, as a line on the sides. And we've already experienced this, how we can generate those using the 2D modeling, and we're gonna see how we can create them using the fillet features into the 3D level. So if you go to the fillet, you can see there are different types. So the first one is basically constant fillet. It's quite straightforward. You need to either pick up an edge or a face. Let's say I'm gonna pick up that edge, and you can see I would be able to specify the value of the radius of the fillet that I have. If in case you don't see it, make sure from no preview you go to the full preview, partial view preview to be able to see it, and you can see that's a 10 millimeter. So if I click OK, you can see I apply 10 millimeter here. So if I'm gonna go to the fillet again, I'm gonna try it on the other side. Once I'm into the constant, I have an option to go rather than with the symmetrical, which basically is a 10 mil and 10 mil, go with the asymmetric that I will be able to control on each side. Let's say one side is 20 and the other side is 10. And let's have a look. You can see that's a 10 and that's a 20. And that's an asymmetrical one. So let's talk about, for instance, you're gonna go and apply a fillet, and but let me go and change it to this one, and you're gonna do it in one go. Let's say it's this one, and you're gonna have let's say the other one as well, but you want it to have the different radiuses, but you want to do it in one go. If I let's change this one to 10 mil, that one is 10 mil. If I pick up the another one, it still become 10 mil, right? So let me do with a sorry, let me clear this one. I'm gonna go with that edge and this edge, right? And they have the same sizes, but I'm gonna go with the other edge, and rather than this one would have the same radius, you want to have it differently. So what you can do, you can go with the multi-radius fillet, and now if I go with the other one, then I can specify the different radius. So let's say this one you want to have it as a 20, and if I click OK, what has happened? That one was 10, that one was 10, and the other one was 20, but I've done it in one go. That's a really useful tool, especially if you want to apply all the fillets in one go, and you can see each of them, there's a different radius that you can apply for. So let me do and delete this one. So something you've noticed that rather than you just having also picking up the edges, you can pick up the planes. If I go and pick up that plane, oh sorry, that face, you can see all the edges then the fillet would be applied for. Also, what I can do, let me do a 10 million here. If I go and pick that one up, it also, you can see wherever those fillets meet together or join together, also the software is smart enough to connect them together. So you've learned that you can apply it on the face, also you can apply it on the edges. Let's go and talk about the other type. The first one was a constant. The second one is basically a variable. Let's say in here, once I pick that one up, you can see I have the V1 and V2, and you can see that I would be able to control each of them. Let's say V1, you're gonna have it as the 10, and V2, you're gonna change it to 20. And what you will see here, it start with the 10 mil, but then the fillet size would then increase to the 20 using the variable fillet. So let me do the other type of fillet as well. So you can see they are quite easy and straightforward. Let me go with this one, with the face fillet. So with the face fillet, basically what you can do, you can pick up this one up, and I'm gonna go and pick that one up, and you can see it join them together and make a fillet in between using the face fillet. And let me continue with that. If in case I'm gonna continue with it, it's basically gonna apply there as well. So what you can also do in here, you can also, let me get rid of this one, and then say for instance you have applied it on these two. What you want to do, you want to actually continue by adding the other side as well. Let's say this one, and you can see try to merge them together as well. So that's the other part. Let's say and try the last one. So with the last one, what you can do, it's basically using the full round, and with the full round I can have the 3 faces. So let's say this one is first, second, and a third face, and you can see what the software is trying to do. You're gonna connect them all together and apply a fillet over there. So that was the first face, second face, and also the third face, and that's for the fillets. It's the same thing for the chamfers. They're quite easy and straightforward. You need to specify the edge you want to have the chamfer, and you can put the length of the chamfer, the angle of it as well, and that's using the you can see these are the you will control using a distance and using angle. Let me give it a go. So let me accept it, and you can see that's a chamfer that I applied. Let me go and apply the chamfer on the other side, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go and use this one, which basically in here you will have the angle distance, whereas here is become a distance and distance. With a distance and distance is you will have just a control on the distance itself, and basically you apply the chamfer there, and you can see that's a 10 mil chamfer here, but I don't have a control of this one. So that one by automatic is 45 degrees, whereas for the first one then I can give the angle to it. Let's say I'm gonna change this one to 20 degrees, so hopefully you can understand it better, the difference between those two. And let's say I'm gonna go and apply the chamfer on that side as well, on that edge, and you can see that you can apply it on the corners as well, which I'm going to show it to you in a second, and also as a face as well. So let me get rid of these two that I just created. Let me actually apply on all these two because I'm going to use them here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the chamfer, and I'm gonna go and see how the vertex control basically. So if I pick that one up here, you can apply chamfer there and you have a control on every single area of it. Let me go with the 10 10 10 to have a look, and that's basically that corner which all the edges, all these three edges, 1 2 3 edges meet each other. You can apply chamfer there and control it. Also we had one more type here, which basically with this one what you can do, you can apply it on the face. So let's say this face, with this face, and you want to actually have the chamfer in between, and you either have it as a symmetrical, which is basically 10 at 10, or you can have it as a asymmetrical, and then you can control the other one. Let's say I'm gonna put that one as a 20 and apply it, and that's basically right. Then you just specify the edge, you specify the face itself, and so on. You can have it as the chord width basically, so you define the chord width, or you can do with just the lines that you will have there. Great, so that was it for this part of the session in terms of learning more about the 3D feature. We experienced a few useful 3D features using the Solidworks, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually put into the practice using the few tutorials that I designed for you. I'm gonna upload it as a separate video, so hopefully it would be easier for you to go through them. And please take your time to practice these using the tutorials. Within those tutorials we practice the majority of these features that I talk about, and please spend some time with these features to familiarize yourself with them, with a different kind of application of it, because in purpose of different kind of designs you might need to use these features slightly differently as well. Great, and I see you into the next video. Take care.